Good day, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining me on this book writing webinar. I am so excited that you're here because your presence, it lets me know that you're ready to write your own story, to create your own masterpiece. And I'm all here for it. Please make sure you stay with me until the end of the program because I do have a special offer just for you. For those who may not know me or be connected to me on social media, please do. My name is Andrea D. Campbell. I am an author, a speaker, and a transformational coach. I love helping people live the highest expression of themselves and to pursue their dreams. It brings me joy. So I'm assuming you don't know much about me, and you surely don't know how I got here to doing this training. So let me share a little bit about my story. And don't worry, I'm going to give you the Cliff Notes version. But back in 2009, my life was interrupted in a big way. You have cancer. Those were the words that I heard. But I was diagnosed with cancer twice within a 2-year period, twice with 2 unrelated cancers. I promise you, when I say that aloud, it just doesn't even seem like that was my life. But I know it was because I lived it. But that experience, those experiences, I guess I should say, it really forced me to look at my life and ask the question, is this how I want to live? And I can tell you my answer was no. I knew at that point there was more for me to do, more that I wanted to do. After a few years, I decided to release my corporate America job. I had worked as an engineer, a salesperson, and a trainer for many years. And it afforded me a pretty good life. I had wonderful experiences, traveled the world, a nice home, nice car. But it wasn't enough to have the success. I knew that I needed to strive for significance, to know that my life mattered, that it mattered to me and to other people as well. I wanted to leave an imprint on this world through a book, maybe. So you may be asking, what does that have to do with writing a book? Well, I can tell you, I knew when I went through my cancer journey that I didn't go through it just for me. I knew I could help other people as well. I am a Christian, and I'm not here to be religious, but there's a scripture in the book of Luke that I love. It's when Jesus was talking to Peter, and he told him that the devil wishes to have his way with him, that the devil wishes to sift him as wheat. But then Jesus did something else. He said, but I have prayed for you. That's deep. I have prayed for you that you don't lose your faith. And when you go through what you go through, you go back and strengthen your brothers and sisters. And so that's what I did. I knew that my story wasn't just for me. I could use my story to help other people. And that's when I decided to write a book. So I have my book, The Beautiful Journey, Finding Purpose Through Cancer. And I also have an ebook on Amazon that's called God Never Wastes a Hurt. What I wanted to happen with both of my books is that I inspired the reader to take action and live their best life on purpose. Never did I think I would be an author, though. I'm tickled when I say it because I am such a math and science girl. Both my master's and bachelor's degrees are in engineering. I love the left side of my brain. That's where I work. That's how I operate. But it was pretty awesome to know that I'm pretty good with the right side of my brain too. I didn't realize that talent was there. And part of it was because of things that happened when I was a youth. I remember when I was in high school, I received a B in English. Don't judge me. It hurt my feelings. I was a straight A student. So when I received a B, I'm like, wait a minute. And then when I went to college, I remember the very first day of English 101, the professor pulled me aside and said, I think you should take remedial English. I asked him where he based that from. Like, why are you telling me this? And he said, because I had gone to a public school, he didn't think I would be prepared for his class. I was devastated. I mean, I was hurt again, but I knew I wasn't taking remedial English. That would be 4 extra credits that I would have to pay for. So that wasn't happening. And I didn't. But I can tell you, his words stuck with me. And again, I believed what he said to a certain degree. But I'm glad I didn't allow those words to keep me from becoming an author, from sharing my story that I know can help transform lives. So let me say this to you because it's on my heart. Never let someone tell you what you can and cannot do. It is truly up to you. You are the designer, the creator of your life. That is your responsibility. So whoever you want to be, do have, be, do have. Whatever you want, whatever you desire, it can be yours. If you don't know how to do it, learn how. We're supposed to evolve, to grow, to learn. Okay, I'm going to get off my soapbox, but I tell you this because I truly want to let you know that you'll impress yourself with the things you can do, the things you can achieve, if you just believe. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen so that we can get into this training. 1 second, please be patient with me. You know what, I'm going to take myself off the screen. I'm going to stop my camera because I am distracting myself. So let me stop the video. There we go. This is the Ready, Set, Write webinar, and I will share with you the process for writing your nonfiction book. Are you ready to get started? Before I began this training, I want to share with you why I decided to offer it. The idea came to me one day after I visited a locally owned bookstore here in Cleveland, Ohio. It's a wonderful bookstore that's been around for over 20 years. They collect new, used, and rare books. During the month of March, which is International Women's Month, they did an experiment where they turned all the books written by male authors backwards. So the only books that you could see displayed were those written by women. If you look at this picture, you can see on the left, it says illustrating the fiction gender gap. And if you look on the right, that's the bookshelf where you can see most of the books were turned backwards, which meant they were written by men. And I noticed the disparity. It's a huge disparity. And that evening, I went on Facebook and I shared what I experienced. And I asked how many folks would like to write a book. And I was surprised by the response. It was a lot of people. Now, I was really asking about women at that time, just because I was like, hey, we have to get more books out there. But I was really surprised about the number of people who wanted to write a book. So that night, I started working on this program. I read a statistic that said 85% of people want to write a book, but only 15% actually do. Why is that? What do you think is the reason for that? Do you think it's fear? Is it because people don't know where to start? Do you think self-doubt plays a part? Procrastination? It's probably some of all of that. But every year, millions of books go unfinished. Books that could have helped people, brought beauty or wisdom into the world. In one way or another, the problem is always the same. The author quits. Maybe this is you. You started writing a book but never completed it. You got stuck in the process and didn't know how to finish. Your story matters. It is your superpower and is unique only to you. And there is someone waiting for you to share it. Your story can transform lives. It can help other people in their journey. In today's training, I want to help kickstart you in writing your book and give you strategies that I've learned throughout the process to help you finish it. I will be talking about the 4 phases of writing, the 7 myths of writing, the 5 secrets for writing in a short period of time, and much more to help you on your journey. I believe we all have a story to tell. We all have gone through some experience that could help others in their own personal journey. I will help you begin the process by sharing information to help you move forward towards the completion of your first manuscript. I can give you information to help you write your book, but what I can't do is write the book for you. Let me repeat that. I cannot write your book for you. You have to be committed to putting in the work. There's a saying that talks about how you don't want to look back a year from now and wonder where you could have been had you started today. How many people have said things they wanted to do, and then the next year they are still saying they want to do that particular thing? It happens to me all the time, especially if it has anything to do with working out. Every summer, I look at myself and say, maybe next year. One day I'll commit. I'll commit to having the summer body that I want. One day next year will be now. I'm committing today. I hope the fact that you've taken the time to join me today means you're serious about getting your book written. My desire is to help you do just that. I want others to become authors too. However, this training is only about getting you to your first draft, your first manuscript. I will not be discussing the publishing process. That topic is for another time. I want to help you gain clarity, focus, and get you in motion. I will give you a lot of information, so I hope you have pen and paper ready. Completing your first draft, that's the first part of the process in becoming a published author. When I offered this training online, I asked for those who were interested in writing nonfiction. You may ask, why nonfiction? One reason is because that's where my experience, my expertise lies. But also, people are hungry to learn about real people, real events, and get real solutions to their problems. Another reason is because nonfiction gives you free reins as to how to create it. It was Annie Dillard that says, there's nothing you can't do with it. No subject matter is forbidden. You get to make up your own form every time. That is why I love nonfiction books. These stories transform, they shape you. Before I share strategies for completing your first draft, let's talk briefly about the difference between nonfiction and fiction. They both have similar techniques. You have a scene, setting, characterization, dialogue, description, plot, and conflict. However, you can't fabricate nonfiction. Your credibility and reputation depends on you telling the truth and being accurate. Now, what I'm sharing can be used for both nonfiction and fiction, but I'm about helping others through their stories. I'm about healing, hope, transformation. Don't get me wrong. If that's not your desire, so be it. I'm sure you will still find value in this training. As you write nonfiction, you're still telling a story. And when you're telling a story, you need specific components. You need the main characters, either you or whomever you're writing about. And this character, it needs to be someone who's likable. There has to be a conflict or complication, some problem to solve or obstacle to climb, something that piques interest and gets people cheering for victory. There has to be a setting where the story takes place. There needs to be a plot, an arrangement of events or experiences to reveal cause and effect. Finally, there needs to be some resolution, how the character overcame the obstacle or conflict. There needs to be a solution to solving the problem. If you think back to any nonfiction that you may have read in the past, there's always a hero who goes on an adventure and in a decisive crisis wins a victory and then comes home changed and transformed. This is called the hero's journey. That's how lives are changed. Do you have all the ingredients, all the parts to write a transformative nonfiction book? I hope so. I hope you've given it some thought already. I want to honor your time, so let's get started with the training. The 4 phases of completing your book. I'm a former track runner. Well, honestly, I believe once you're a runner, you're always a runner. However, I no longer compete. In high school and college, I was a sprinter. I ran the 400 meters. And before the race, I would stand over the running blocks and the starter would say, on your mark, get set, go. Nowadays, you can hear the starter say, Ready, set, go. Either way, either saying, you know that it's time to get started and keep moving until you cross the finish line. Now, I put this picture up here with me running, and I know we all have pictures from the past where we're like, oh my gosh, why? But I tell you, I love track. I'm going to use the metaphor of running track while I go through the phases of writing a book. And I will take you from the beginning until you cross the finish line and complete your first draft. The first phase is the get ready phase. In this phase, you will get ready, get prepared to start the writing process. In order to do that, you need to answer the following questions. What is your why? Why do you want to write a book? More specifically, why do you want to write this particular book that you have in mind? If you can't articulate why you want to write the book, you may want to take some time to revisit that question. Why do you have to write this book? What's the stake? Why is it non-negotiable that you complete this book? How will your life be different after you finish? What would change for you? What would change for your family? Think about how your life would change after 3 manuscripts. I know we're only trying to do the first one, but I'm thinking big. How will you feel about yourself after you finish? Will you be proud of yourself? Will you feel accomplished? How would this feeling help you accomplish other things? Will it give you the confidence you need to go after other goals, to continue writing? And finally, what has kept you from completing your manuscript to this point? Answer those questions for yourself and know why it is you're ready to write your book now. There are 7 myths that have kept people from completing or even starting their book. I want to dispel them before we go any further. There's a quote by Zig Ziglar that says, if you wait until all the lights are green before you leave home, you'll never get started on your trip to the top. And that's how I feel with writing. There's always something that will get in the way. Don't let not having enough time be one of those. This is the biggest fib. There's always time. It just depends on if it's a priority for you. You can do 30 minutes a day. You can do 15 minutes a day. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the term time boxing, but you can set an alarm and say, I'm going to write for 15 minutes, and you just write during that time. Number 2, here's another excuse. I need to be a good writer. Many people question if they're good enough to write a book. I just want to let you know that you are. And if you're not the best writer, that's what editors are for. So you can find someone who can help you make your book a better book. Number 3, no one will want to read my book. I had that thought throughout my writing process. Shame on me. But seriously, I was thinking, who wants to read my story about cancer? There's so many stories about cancer. But the reality is that most people are affected by cancer, and my story is unique to me. So my story hadn't been told, even though there's plenty of other books out there. Books don't make money. I'm one of those people who believes that it's more of a responsibility for me to write my book rather than focusing on money. But don't get me wrong, I do want to make money with my book. And there are ways to do it. But for me, that wasn't my main priority. But it's mainly about positioning and marketing. But luck can also have something to do with it. I would love for my book to be chosen for Oprah's book club, right? But, I don't know how to make that happen, but maybe one day it will. Or someone else, you never know. Number 5, real writers find writing easy. If they're doing it right, they don't. Writing doesn't get easier with time, it gets faster. There are so many rules to remember when it comes to writing. Meaningful writing comes from the inside. What makes experienced writers so prolific is not that they find it easy to turn themselves inside out. It's that they make a habit of it. Number 6, writer's block. Here's the truth. Writer's block is an elaborate hoax. You're really stuck. And the thing to do is to not allow yourself to get stuck. Ernest Hemingway said this: the best way is always to stop when you're going good and when you know what will happen next. If you do that every day, you will never be stuck. If you feel stuck, it's probably because you don't have clarity on your next. And number 7, writing and publishing a book is expensive. Most people are aware that self-publishing is an option nowadays. You don't have to go the traditional routes of publishing. I self-published, and by doing so, I was able to start my own publishing company. But the cost of publishing, it varies on how you decide to publish. You can go the traditional route, and that's where they will publish for you, and they and you will market. You can do hybrid publishing, and that's where they will help you publish and you market. Then there's self-publishing, and that's where you do the publishing yourself and you will market. That one can range anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000, depending on your experience with publishing. As you can see with all of them, you are marketing your book regardless. So the choice is up to you. One thing that I will say is if you decide to self-publish, I would suggest you spend the majority of your money on editing. You want to make sure what you put out there is a good representation of you. So I shared with you the 7 myths of writing. Have any of these crossed your mind? If so, I hope you now know they are not true. Make sure to get rid of your excuses before you move forward with your book. So besides knowing the whys for wanting to become an author, you also need to have the right mindset. There are so many people who tell me they want to write, and they have so many excuses as to why they can't. You have to actually believe that you can write, finish, and publish a book. You have to believe it for yourself. I remember running into someone from my childhood who knew I was writing a book because I talked about it on Facebook. She walked up to me and said, "You know, it's nice to see average people can write books too." I kindly shook my head, yes, and talked to her about how excited I was. Now, I don't think she was trying to be mean or insulting. And I didn't take offense to what she said, mainly because I never considered myself average, first of all. But it actually made me feel a little sad for her because she didn't realize that this is something that she could do if she wanted to as well. Sometimes we're so used to the same way of thinking that it's hard for us to adjust and realize that we don't have to live life as status quo. Marianne Williamson, who authored the book A Return to Love, she said, "Your playing small does not serve the world. You are meant to shine brightly in this world." So I'll say to you, in order to have success in writing your book, you need to believe you can. You have to have positive thinking. I'm reminded of the story, The Little Engine That Could. And the engine was going up the mountain and it said, "I think I can, I think I can, I think I can." And once she got to the top, and yes, it was a she said, "I knew I could, I knew I could, I knew I could." That has to be you. You have to know that you can do it. Also, get rid of the inner critic, the negative thinking that you may have. It's easy for people to think negatively. Our brains are wired that way. We all have self-limiting beliefs that keeps us doubting ourselves. Don't buy into those thoughts. They don't serve you or the goals that you wish to achieve. Get rid of negative people. I know that may hurt, but don't surround yourself around people who don't support you or believe in you. Be committed. Be committed to what it is that you desire. You are the CEO of your life. You get to decide your destiny. Play big, shine bright. So that was the conclusion of phase one. I know it was a lot of information already, but I just want to make sure that you're ready in your mind to do this. Phase two is set. We have to get poised and positioned for success. We want to be successful in completing this first draft. So first, we have to decide what the book is about. What do you want to share with the world? Start with a message, an idea, or a story that you really want to share with others. This could be something that you're passionate about, something that you believe in. I would suggest coming up with a core message. Think of major turning points in your life, accomplishments that you had. What haunts you from your childhood? What inspires you? What insights have you gained? Good writing is always about something. So write whatever your core message is in a sentence. It could be a long sentence, but it will keep you focused as you write your book. Define your ideal reader. Who is that one person you're writing to? Be detailed with that. Be specific. What age range? What's the sex of the person, the income, level of education? I heard people say that when you write to everyone, you're writing to no one, because most people think my book could be for anybody. No. Don't do that. Make sure you have a specific person in mind who you're writing for. Not to say others can't read it and gain value, but you want to have that ideal reader in your mind. You need to know what their desires, what their motivations are, what problems they have that your book will solve, the frustrations that they deal with. Have that person in mind as you write. Outline your book. Outlining is a form of planning. Think about your core message. What ideas come up to you regarding your message? Use those ideas and outline like you did in school. Use Roman numerals and all. Set a total word count. This is a form of planning too. Think in terms of 10,000 word increments and break each chapter into roughly equal lengths. You may wonder where these chapters come from. These chapters come from the outline that you've written before. And you want to make sure that you keep in mind your audience. I remember someone that I know wrote a book that's 600 pages long. It was more than 600 actually. And I applaud them for the tenacity to get that completed. That's a huge task. However, I will probably never read that book. It's too long. If I was her and advising her, I probably would have had her break it up into 3 or 4 volumes and sold it like that. 600 pages is a lot to ask someone to read, and it can be intimidating. Here are some general guiding principles when you're thinking about the words. When you're less than 10,000 words, that's considered a short read. It'll take anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes to do that. I have an ebook, God Never Wastes a Hurt, and it's less than 10,000 words. It's considered a short read on Amazon. The book gets right to the point. I give 3 steps to move people from pain to purpose, and we move on. Then you can think about books between 40 and 80,000 words. That's the standard for nonfiction books. The read time is around 4 hours. 80,000 words to 100,000 words, that's considered a long nonfiction book. But the longer one would be the ones that are around 100,000 plus words. That's like a biography. I remember Steve Jobs' biography was 657 pages. That's a lot. Research your subject matter. You should know everything about what it is you're writing about. Before we move on to phase 3, I just want to remind you at the end of this training, I have a special offer for you. So please stay till the end. Phase 3, write. Ready, set, and now it's time to write. Mark Twain said, "The secret to getting ahead is getting started. The secret to getting started is breaking your complex, overwhelming task into small, manageable tasks, and then start the first one." Since you've moved to phase 3, you've already made the outline for your book. Now it's time to get writing. Establish a routine. And here are some strategies to help you with your writing. Write every day. I talked about time boxing. Set aside 15 minutes, 30 minutes every day and write. There's no right way to write, but every successful writer writes almost every day, whether it's 2 pages or 2 paragraphs. The more you write, the easier it is to continue to write. Writing is a lot like exercising, being that you have to keep at it. You know how when you're exercising a lot and you've been doing good for 4 months, and then all of a sudden you sprain your ankle. You have to take a couple of weeks off, and then, when you come back, it's much more difficult to start exercising again because you got out of the routine. It's the same with writing. Once you take time off from doing it, it's hard to get back in rhythm. You have to be consistent. Consistency makes creativity that much easier. I love to say creativity begets creativity. The more creative you are, the more creative you become. Set aside distraction-free writing time. That goes back to writing every day. Find some time to write and make sure there's nothing else that's going to interfere. No TV, no people, no work, no phone, no nothing. Nothing but writing. When it's time to write, it's time to write. Don't ask for time. Just find the time and take it any way you can. Make an appointment with yourself. It's easier to say no to others when you have an appointment. You have to decide that writing is worthy of your time. Be diligent and set time aside again to write every day. I remember reading an article from a Navy SEAL. He said, if you want to change the world, start by making your bed. He wrote a book on it. But making your bed, it is the first accomplishment of the day, and it'll lead to others. I'll put a twist on that and say that about writing. The easiest way to create a new habit is to make it one of the first things you do each day. Write the first thing in the morning. You'll feel a sense of accomplishment once you're done. And again, it reminds me of working out. I do better with my commitment of working out when I do it first thing in the mornings. I do it and get it out of the way. As the day progresses, it's easy for me to be pulled in different directions, easy for me to come up with excuses or have distractions that will keep me from achieving what it is that I want to achieve. Set a weekly daily word count. This is how you'll finish your book. You can take a day off if you need to, but schedule that ahead of time and never let a deadline pass. So if you say this week, I want to write 3,000 words, make sure that you get your 3,000 words. Yes, you can give yourself some grace, but if you do that, you have to make sure that you make up for the time or wherever you fell short, I guess I should say. Don't let yourself off the hook so easily. Do your best to stick to your writing goals. Get rid of the things that's not a priority. This may include people. Sometimes you have to say no to someone who tries to distract you from your goals. Saying no to someone is saying yes to you. Keep a journal nearby. There will be times when you're walking down the street and an idea will come to you, or you wake up in the middle of the night with an idea. This happens a lot to me. I used to keep a notebook on my nightstand. There were times where I used to say, I'll write it down when I wake up in the morning, and then morning comes and I forget what it was. So I now keep a journal next to me so that I can just write down what it is I need to write down if an idea comes and I don't lose it. Don't let excuses stop you. John Grisham, who I'm sure you probably know as an author, he began his writing career as a lawyer and a new dad. In other words, he was busy. Nonetheless, he got up an hour or two early every morning and wrote a page a day. After a couple of years, he had a novel. A page a day is about 300 words. You don't need to write a lot, you just need to write often. Setting that daily goal will give you something to aim for. Make your goals small and attainable so that you can hit it each day and start building momentum. Write in the same place every day. It doesn't matter if it's a desk, it could be your kitchen table, but it just needs to be different from where you do other activities. Make your writing location a special place so that when you enter it, you're ready to work. It should remind you of your commitment to finish your book. Again, the goal here is not to think, just start writing. When we have nice days in Cleveland, sometimes I just want to go to the lake and I'll write there, or go to the park. So find whatever works for you. The last thing is to celebrate the progress you made while still being honest about how much work is left to do. If you made your weekly goal, celebrate. You need to have something to aim for. Now that we've completed the 3 phases, it's now time to move to phase 4, crossing the finish line. No matter what, finish the book. Stay motivated while you're in the process. Once you start writing, you're going to face self-doubt. Who am I? You'll be overwhelmed. I can't do this. And you'll have 100 of obstacles that will come your way. But plan ahead for those obstacles. And that will ensure that you won't quit when they come up. Keep in mind, nobody cares about the book you almost wrote. We want to read the one you actually finished, which means no matter what, the thing that makes you a writer is your ability not to start a project, but to finish one. Release your book to the world. Send it to a publisher. Release it on Amazon. Do whatever you need to do to get it in front of people. Just don't tuck it away in your desk. The worst thing you could do is to quit once this thing is written. Get it out there to the world. Share your ideas. Lastly, write another book, a better book. But without that first book, you will never learn the lessons you might have otherwise missed out on. So put your work out there, fail early, and try again. This is one way to get better. You have to practice, which means you have to keep writing. We're getting close to the end of the training, but before I finish, I wanted to share with you 5 secrets to writing in a short period of time. I know I promised that earlier. The first one is don't write and edit at the same time. You can't write and rewrite at the same time. I learned this the hard way. I couldn't figure out why I wasn't progressing as I thought I should. And then I heard someone explain it to me this way, and it made sense. Editing uses the left side of the brain, where writing uses the right side. Continuing to switch between the right and left sides causes fatigue and frustration. So just keep moving forward with your story and writing. Let your creativity flow. Write without judgment first, and then go back and edit at a later time. You'll keep a better flow, and you won't be interrupted by constant criticism of your own work. Don't worry about subplots. Leave those out. Focus on the main characters and the plots. You can add subplots later if needed. Be realistic with your goals. Setting a goal too high can cause you to be overwhelmed. Be gentle with yourself. And I'll also add, recognize your obligations and your distractions. Examine your self-esteem. Self-esteem means you can say to yourself, I matter, and so do my goals. Never guilt or shame yourself into writing, or put yourself down too harshly for not writing. Focus on your strengths. Don't criticize your work or let other people do so either. And stay away from negative people. And lastly, trust yourself. Sometimes we don't achieve our goals because we devalue our capacity to deal with whatever may come our way. Although I've shared these 5 secrets to writing fast, there's no secret to writing a book. To write a book, you have to write. There's no way around it. Well, that's not totally true because you can use that voice to text application. It can work, but you have to constantly check for wrong words. I used this feature once and I use it sometimes for text messaging, and sometimes it's just wrong. So be careful if you do choose to do that. Also, there are people who will write your book for you. Those are called ghostwriters. They write materials for people and the other person's name goes on the book. Believe it or not, there's a lot of people who books I've read that are written by ghostwriters. And it's disappointing because these are well-known thought leaders. And many people, including myself, look to them for their guidance in their books. And they don't have much to do with the process besides putting their name on the book. It's all good though. I just appreciate the sweat equity that someone puts into writing their book because it gives you something to be proud of. It's like gardening to me. I love planting, nurturing, watering, and then seeing the fruits of my labor when I look at my garden. But that's just me. So you can do this however you want. But let me say this, writing and publishing my book was rewarding. I'm proud of myself and the work that I did. When I opened the box the first time and saw my book, I was super excited. All of my hard work was right there in my hands. I flipped through the pages with the biggest smile on my face. And when I took out that first book, I made sure that I signed it to my mom. I wanted to make sure she received the first copy. It was a great feeling. It was kind of surreal. I would love for you all to experience that feeling as well. I would love for you all to become a published author. This is my book right here, The Beautiful Journey, Finding Purpose Through Cancer. And I just want to let you know that you really don't know how your life can change by writing a book. Just today, I had someone call me to get a copy of my book. When people know someone going through cancer, and even though I don't think my book is just for people who are affected by cancer, a lot of people think of my book when they find someone that's going through. And I'm appreciative for that because I didn't know whose lives would be touched by my story. I didn't know. But I'm glad to know that other people believe that my story can inspire and encourage someone else. You don't know who is waiting for your story. And I don't say that lightly because I can tell you there were people who read my book just because they wanted to read my story. And after they read my book, they ended up being diagnosed with cancer. And my book gave them hope. It gave them information that they may not have known. Now they know what to expect. When I went through cancer, I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know all the heavy decisions that I had to make for myself. I thought someone would say, this is what you need to do. No, this is what you're gonna do. Not that this is what you need to do, but it's up to you. Or how do you wanna do this? Like those decisions were for me to make and it was overwhelming. And I can use my story to help people who may be ignorant. And I'm not saying that to be mean, I'm just saying ignorant in the sense that they didn't understand what all went into a cancer diagnosis. Because I know that I was ignorant. When I wrote my book, I started it by writing blogs for my family. I have a huge family and I didn't want to have to talk about cancer all the time. So I'm like, if you want to know what's going on, here you are. So I used it as a way to inform my family. But I noticed as I was going through the process, I was able to educate them and let them know everything that I was learning as I was going through this. And as I felt my own transformation happening, I was able to take them on that journey too. You just never know. You never know whose lives can be touched by your story. This wasn't part of the training, but I just wanted to share it because I just think it's so important. So important for us to realize that our story matters. Our stories, that's our superpower. That's what connects us with other people because they're able to look at you, read your story, and see themselves inside of it. That's how you change people's lives. That's how you transform others. As I said earlier, I can't write the book for you, but I can guide you along the process. One thing that I can say about myself is Well, you know what? Let me back up a little bit. I want to just share with you something. In the beginning of the year, I decided to have a word for the year. And the word that I chose is excellence. I am committing myself to excellence in everything that I do. Part of that is my 10-week writing program that I developed to help people write their book. I am offering this program to those who are serious about completing their first draft and move forward towards the end goal of being published. I'm excited to offer this, and I'm committing myself to your success. This program is for those who would like to complete their manuscript quickly-ish. And I say quickly-ish because 10 weeks is somewhat aggressive, but it's doable if you're committed. Believe it or not, there are people who write 50,000 word manuscripts in 30 days. In this program, I'm giving you 10 weeks of guidance and support to help you finish your first draft. Having gone through the process, there were things that I learned. One of them being the fact that I needed help from others. I didn't realize the importance of it initially. I was fortunate to have people who held me accountable. They kept me focused and motivated throughout the process. I even used them to bounce ideas off of. Of course, I had to be selective with whom I chose to assist me in the process. I needed people who believed in me, people who wanted me to succeed. And I was fortunate to have that. I also found a mentor and coach in Dr. Bertice Berry. I don't know if you know who she is, but she's a former talk show host who has authored many books and is also a ghostwriter. She's amazing. But before I met her, I had been sitting on my book for a while, trying to figure out how to make it as I envisioned it. I wanted a book that talked about my journey going through cancer, but I also wanted a book where the reader was able to go on their own journey of self-discovery and awareness. After I met with her, she was able to guide me so that I could find a solution to my problem. So what am I saying to you? I'm saying that you can do this alone, but if you're tired of your excuses, your procrastinations, you're feeling stuck in the process, join my 10-week program. So let me tell you what this program is. It's an online coaching program that will walk you step by step through the process of completing your book in 10 weeks. There's a weekly training and assignments that goes along with it. Also, the program will provide you with tools that will keep you from getting overwhelmed and stuck. If you do everything you're supposed to do, you will have a finished first draft at the end of 10 weeks, but you have to put in the work. What is it not? This is not a program where you will have a published book by the end of the 10 weeks, but you will have your first draft. And having a first draft is the first step to becoming a published author. Who is it for? It's for those who desire to share their story or want to become an author, but don't know how to start the process nor finish it. I know it's doable to write a book in 10 weeks. I've had people who've gone through this program before. One just has to be committed. Will the book be perfect? No. Will it be good? Maybe. What I do know is that a start is the first step to becoming a published author. The investment for this program is only $497. What you will get is weekly recorded sessions, access to a private Facebook group for 1 year, printable worksheets to guide you through the process, encouragement and questions answered through the Facebook group. What you will get done is a first draft manuscript. Your story comes from you. You will get a process to get into creative writing mindsets, preparation to write, mind mapping, brainstorming, outlining, a specially created schedule to ensure you get it done. And then the writing process, you will actually put pen to paper, type it out, and get your acts 1, 2, and 3 completed. For the $697 investment, the difference between this one and the previous one is that you'll get 2 30-minute coaching sessions where you get personalized attention to help you complete your manuscript. So if you're serious about participating in this program, please, please join me now. Time is ticking. You have until 11:59 p.m. tonight to use the code RSW20, and you'll get 20% discount on both the $497 or the $697 if you're wanting to do that and have the personalized attention. But I really hope to see you soon. Okay, let me start my video again. I'm going to come back just for a moment. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This concludes today's training. I truly, truly appreciate your time. I hope you found great value and that you will think about, if you haven't decided yet, my Ready, Set, Write 10-week writing program. I am looking forward to you writing your own book. If you know anyone who may want to write a book, let them know about the program as well. I would appreciate that. But more than anything, I appreciate you. I appreciate you for taking the time to spend this hour with me. Much love to you and have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.